how it's going already.
It's already recording?
Yeah, it's already recording, but it's okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure meeting you today.
Pleasure
Meeting with you, Mr. Jensen.
It's a pleasure to be here, Dr. Myers.
All right. Well, I have a few questions for you.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
In your opinion, what are outcomes?
Well, the basic dictionary definition is the goals or where you want to reach as a teacher. Many times, these take the form of the skills or the knowledge that students will have at the end after teaching certain content.
Okay. And so, why do you think that we need them?
Well, why wouldn't we need them? In daily life, we use goals as ways to reach certain achievements. As students, many do sports and whatnot. They use their goals to reach achievements. And if we didn't have those outcomes or those goals, we would never be able to gain certain skills that we need in life.
Okay. With that, would you say that outcomes change, and are they the same for every student?
I think, well, obviously, goals need to change. They evolve as we progress as human beings. In the same way, we can't have the same goals for every student. But at the same time, we do have to have, like, even in America today, we have specific goals that every child should be able to reach. But we have to modify those goals to meet students' specific needs. We can't just, be very broad with all of them all the time. So we have, for example, we have unit outcomes, which are very specific to what we're teaching, and we want all our students to be able to understand and have certain skills after that unit. But every day in class, we're going to have different outcomes. We're going to have different goals for those specific students. We're going to hopefully we can help our students grow in those areas, but they're going to develop and grow at different rates.
Okay. And with that, how would you measure where your students are at in accordance with those outcomes?
We actually have a word for that. It's called assessments. You've probably heard of that.
Yeah,
You have to assess, where you're at individually. Many times we use these assessments to judge where they're at according to these outcomes. So many times, in today's world, we see these as tests or homework assignments or, in group, like in-class discussions. But it can also be much simpler than that. It could be you teaching a concept and then watching to see how your students react in that sense.
Okay, and what do you mean by how they react?
Well, for example, sometimes in a classroom, hopefully, you have your students asking you questions. That could be a very easy observation of how students react. A lot of other times as well, your students might just look at you with the blank stare, as sometimes what it's referred to as, where students don't get it. And you can see that clearly on their faces when they don't get it. And that's what I mean by how they react. You just can see that, they're not getting it, or you're making an evaluation of where they're at.
Okay. And in your opinion, would you say that assessments are there more to benefit you as the teacher or for the student?
Well, that's a hard question because obviously it's there for both of us. It's, as a teacher, my job is to help my students progress to the best of their abilities.
Definitely.
But I can't do that unless I evaluate my own teaching, and I do that by how well I can see my students' understanding. And so assessments are there to help me understand where my students are at, so then I can modify how I'm teaching to help my students meet my expectations or those outcomes. So both, it's hard to say whether assessments are more important for me or the students. But I think, in the long run, it's important for both of us, and we both need to be able to realize what they're used for, what they are, and be able to grow from them.
To help you help them.
Exactly.
All right, well, I like it, and that it was the final question. So, Mr. Jensen, it was nice meeting with you today.
Again, thank you, Dr. Myers.
All right.